welcome and good morning. We are talking about library resources for small businesses. We have Ms. Hannah Taylor presenting these library resources. Ms. Hannah has been with the MCPL for 4.5 years, and we're going to learn about how to use the free Square One small business services that Mid-Continent Public Library offers to find information on your industry, customers, and even your competition, plus other helpful tools. Even those of us that are have been in business for a long time can still benefit from all of these programs. So Hannah, if you're ready, we're set on this side.
It's like, go forth and let Hannah talk for the next hour.
Yes.
That's a dangerous thing. It's a dangerous thing on your guys' end to just give me full control over what's happening. So, well, I'll start sharing my screen here in a little bit, but real quick, I know that there are probably too many people on here to Hannah, make us lots of money. Okay, I'll do my best. So if you guys are familiar, I'm with Square One. That is a part of the library. A lot of people are like, I don't know what Square One is. Perfect. I want to tell you about it. But I'm a business outreach specialist at the library. So when people ask me what branch I work at, I don't. I'm a completely mobile position, and like I was telling people a little earlier, I've been very immobile for the last month. So it's been a hard transition for me, at least, to stay at home and try to have all these meetings virtually. But the day before we got the call at the library that we weren't going to be able to have any more events, or we shouldn't come to work and we should postpone everything and cancel all your one-on-ones, cancel all your meetings, figure out how to work from home. Morgan and I don't know if you're familiar with Morgan, but she's another business outreach specialist at the library. We put our heads together and we're like, okay, how do we take all of our awesome programming that was going to happen in the next month and attempt to put it online? And it's definitely had its ups and downs. It was really crazy. We have 31 branches, so our events bounce from place to place. And the Wednesday, we got the call on Monday, and the Wednesday that we had to cancel our classes, we had 70 people registered for a Facebook class, and it was going to be in Smithville, which, what, like 70 people? I don't even think 70 people live in Smithville. Like, what's going on? And we were so excited. We were so excited to have that community engagement, and we were going to go eat at Chops Barbecue and do this awesome Facebook presentation. And then we had to cancel it. And I was like, what is happening? Like, we've never had 70 people want to learn about Facebook from the library, and we had to cancel it. And so we're like, listen, let's just put it online. So I took all of the video equipment from the library, whether I was supposed to or not. I brought it all home with me, and now I've got this like little co-working space in my basement with like 7 devices. I'm like all over the place. I've got 2 phones. Earlier this week, I did a presentation on Facebook, and for the first 10 minutes or so of that, the visual was not working. It was just me talking to people, and I had like 1 million comments that are like, I can't see what's happening, and I had no idea because all of my devices were all over the place. So we did a like drug drop off of my wife's or my boss's MiFi. So now I'm hopefully going to be good to go. And you guys were talking about your kids and fighting over computers and stuff, and I'd be interested to know from you guys if you guys are having the same like Wi-Fi issues trying to stream all at the same time, because I know that's an issue on my end, and I don't have any kids, so I would imagine that it's probably crazy. It's exponentially crazier with kids running around. So kudos to you guys with younglings at home, and let me just kind of jump in. I'll share my screen with you guys real quick, and we'll just go ahead and get started on some of this stuff. That is, my awesome Zoom control. You guys don't care about that. Let me move you over here. Go ahead and present this. We'll take our time with it, nice and easy. See, we're dealing with the Wi-Fi stuff already. All right. Everybody see my spinning circle of death? This is my best friend lately, the old spinner. There we go. Let's go back a few slides though. All right. Move you back over here. Who we are. Yeah, that's us. All right. Yeah. So I've put together a little presentation for you guys. This is Square One at Home Edition. So, we're normally all in the community. We're attending luncheons, doing networking events, talking to people at Starbucks. We're doing stuff all over the place. And so I want to talk a little bit about what we typically do and what we typically offer and how we have had to switch that up a little bit. So if anybody can't see this, just let me know, because I'm totally down with tech issues. Apparently it's like my new favorite thing. So a little bit about who we are. So we are a mid-continent public library program, or a service that aims to provide you, the small business owner, the entrepreneur, the person who works for a business, with access to information, programs, and resources. That is a really dry way of putting that. So we found out 5 or 6 years ago, that libraries should be for more than just books. They should be for more than just kindergarten readiness. They should be for more than just literacy, because there's so many people in our community that are looking for information and to get to that next step, whether that be in their business or their storytelling process, or they want to be an author. So our director, Steve Potter, he kind of created this idea of the purpose-based library. And so we kind of hold that really close to our hearts, in that we want to be purpose-based. We want to serve our community, because we're nothing without the community, right? We know that without the people bringing their kids to story time, without the people, the taxpayers, right? Like, we are property tax funded for the most part. And so this is our way of trying to give some of that back. I mentioned we've got 31 branches in 2.5 counties. So we serve the eastern half of Jackson. We've got Clay, and we've got Platte counties. Our service area, and you can kind of see that on here a little bit, believe it or not, is actually larger than the state of Rhode Island. And that is, it's wild to think about, that your library system covers so much ground. And I know that the business needs of like Blue Springs and Grand Valley are going to be wildly different than the business needs of Smithville and Liberty. And so it's important for us as the business specialists to understand our communities, and understand that, if someone starts a food truck, they're probably not starting that food truck in Excelsior Springs. We know that those people are probably going to be in Raytown. Those people are going to be the Riverside area. And so it's my job to know what's happening in Kansas City, and to try to relay that information to our business owners. Again, we're 100% mobile, parentheses, not right now. But that is kind of our strength. It's something that Mid-Continent Public Library does that no other library system has. There are a lot of business reference librarians and lots of different library systems, but we know that the library has to exist beyond the 4 walls. And so going outside and going and meeting the people where they are, being able to see people in their own space. Again, we know that business owners don't necessarily have time to stop what they're doing, jump in the car, drive to the library and meet us, and then drive back and try to get back into the rhythm of what they were doing, which is why we have to be mobile. We have to be able to meet them in their office, or meet them at the local coffee shop, or, meet them all over the place, on Zoom or Skype or FaceTime, all of them now. Believe it or not, I met someone in a horse barn one time. That was in Kearney, and that was one of my longer meetings because of horses, obviously. But we are, I mentioned we're property tax funded. So the library's property tax funded, but Square One is actually a service that's grant funded by the Kauffman Foundation. So thank you, Kauffman's. We would still be able to provide some assistance to our small businesses without the grant, but that grant allows us to bring in local experts to teach classes. I do teach a lot of the social media classes, but you would not want me to teach a class on accounting or intellectual property or anything to do with math whatsoever. We know that that's not how people get the best information, is by me reading a blog article and then trying to teach a class on it. So we are paying local experts to come present that information that normally people would have to pay them for. So we try to make it accessible for everybody, all over the place. And so that's kind of where we're at right now, at least when it comes to, minimize that a little bit, the library as a whole. So what we would typically offer is a lot. And I'll go over some of this on our website shortly. But if you've ever gone to the mymcpl.org website, there's a tab up at the top, and I'll show you this in a minute, that says Square One Small Business. And if you click on that, this is where you're going to see all of these resources that you can check out, all these programs, the events that are coming up, and you can see how to get one-on-one help. Let me see. I'm going to open this chat real quick. Leave this over here. Thanks, guys. Okay. So Reference USA is really similar to demographics now, and they're pretty self-explanatory. When you think about demographics, if you are looking to build a sales list, this is going to be a great option for you. If you're looking to do some customer research, some market research, your competition research, that is the best place to go for some of that information. Now, the thing is that Reference USA alone would cost a single user thousands of dollars a year. You guys pay property taxes, so you get this for free through the library. So this is something that is, I like to call it a little big brothery, and I'll show you an example here momentarily. But these are really great resources for you or for the businesses that you work with to get down to the nitty gritty of the research aspect of a business. We also, for our new business owners, we have the Small Business Builder, and I like to give everybody like a really clear example. If you're going to start writing a business plan from the get-go, a lot of people have never written a business plan before, and they were told by their bank or their attorney that they need to write a business plan and they need to be really thorough. Well, it's really hard for somebody to just sit down and start typing something. So what they typically do is, they go to Dr. Google and they type in sample business plan, and what pops up is maybe like 1 or 2 pages. It's really vague. It doesn't relate to their business at all. And that's really problematic because that's another barrier to entry for our businesses. So Small Business Builder is a way for them to fill out individual sections on a database, and this database puts it all together and it creates a business plan for them just based on the questions that they asked. So I tell people, if you can fill out an online application or a Tinder profile, you can fill out a Small Business Builder business plan. We also have Law Depot, so partnership agreements, contract agreements, any sort of legal document that you would be looking for that you're a little wary to download on other websites. These are legit. I filled one out 2 weeks ago, like my last will and testament. So, I mean, there's a lot of stuff on here that I just kind of like to play around a little bit with. But a funny story with Law Depot, my dad he has a lot of rental property, and he's had rental property for years. Sometimes he gets rent paid and sometimes he doesn't. But I took a look at his lease agreement, and it was like half a page. It didn't say anywhere on there about the penalties for not paying on time. It didn't say anything about whether they could have pets or not. It didn't say whether they can sell drugs out of the apartment. I mean, it didn't say anything. It just said you are going to rent this place and this is how much it costs you, and make sure to pay your rent. And that's, I mean, I don't know if you guys are familiar with renters, but if there's a loophole, they're going to find it. And so all these people were not necessarily following the rules, but it's because there were no rules laid out. So I got on Law Depot and I filled out a 10-page lease agreement that my dad then gave all of his new renters. And that was a little while ago. And he doesn't have any renters right now that are late on their rent. And I, will take 100% of the credit for that. But mostly I will give it up to the ease of being able to fill out that legal document. Lynda.com and Universal Class, great resources for online learning. I'm going to go over those as well. And then what we typically offer, which is kind of our bread and butter, are our programs. We like to get community feedback and really present information in an interesting way. We don't like the word like presentation necessarily. We like classes, we like demos, because presentations means somebody up there like reading words and then hoping that you understand it. And that's not always the case, right? We know that there's got to be some form of engagement. We've got to get people to want to learn, and once they're there, to actually comprehend that information. So our programs, they're all over the place. We range them from some of our more fun content to the Business of series, which we've done the business of microbreweries, the business of t-shirts, the business of coffee, the business of wine, the business of micro distilleries. There is a theme we like to drink on our off time at the library. So we like to highlight the industries that Kansas City's doing really, really well. So that's another thing we do. Business basics programs. So I'm talking like how to use Facebook, how to, be found on Google, how to do your accounting 101. We work a lot with food businesses. And so food math is a class that we offer. And I don't teach it because, remember, I don't do the math parts of anything. But it's really important if somebody's starting a food truck that they know that their prices are actually making them a profit. That's my heater going off. I don't know if you can hear that. But we also offer entrepreneur story times where we bring in a really great story in Kansas City. So recently we had Matt Chateau from Chateau Dairy come down, and he gave us this awesome story about, what's with the glass bottles and bringing back the milkman, and just how this family business turned into this huge like personality and almost like influencership in Kansas City. We obviously do a lot of boot camps. We do awesome boot camps with the Blue Spring Chamber. And I mentioned the food programming. So we work a lot with food businesses. We want to make sure that they're operating as well as they can, and they've got all the information to go out and succeed. And the one-on-one help is probably, I don't know, it's probably one of the better things we do, is that we sit down with the business owner and we ask them where they're at in their business and what they're looking to find, and how they want to grow and what skills do they want to develop. I was talking with some guys yesterday about vulnerability and how important that is in small business. And a lot of us have an upbringing that's, don't talk about your failures, don't talk about your hardships, don't talk about your setbacks, just kind of keep it all in and make a martyr of yourself and just work hard and don't complain. And while I do think that there are benefits to keeping some of that to yourself and not necessarily complaining all the time to other people, a one-on-one with a Square business or a Square One small business specialist is about opening up and being vulnerable, and let's talk about what's not working and let's see how we can make it work from there. We are not magicians. We can't, put $10,000 in someone's bank account, but we can connect you with the information that can help you get to that next step. Sometimes we don't know where that information is, but we know who has the information. So a lot of times that's just setting you up with a different resource. So whether you need to be connected with the chamber, whether you need to be connected with KC SourceLink or SCORE or the SBA, we try to connect them with the people that can get them the information they're looking for. So that's, a lot of information on what we would typically offer, but we have had to shift a little bit. So how we've adapted to the coronavirus, we've started doing virtual one-on-ones. And I just got off of one right before I jumped on this call. And it's it's different. And I'm sure you guys know that video chats have their own beautiful nature about them that makes it not as easy as in real person. But we are using Zoom, we're using Skype, we're using FaceTime, we're using Facebook Messenger, any way that we can contact someone and be face-to-face with them, even though it's through a screen. We're able to share our screen with them and show them how to access our resources. And we're asking them questions. The one-on-one I just got off of was talking about how can I add subtitles to the videos that I'm putting on social media. And so for 30 minutes, we went through Facebook and we talked about uploading subtitles and the different options for that and what it looks like if you pay for it, and what it looks like if you spend 30 minutes transcribing all of the text in that video. So there are a lot of things that we can do virtually. Of course, there are a lot of things that we're unable to do virtually or that are a little harder. But we're doing the best we can, and we know our small business owners are doing the best they can. And that's something that we didn't want to go away in this stay-at-home order, because small businesses are really the heart of our community, and not just Blue Springs, not just Grand Valley, but all of Kansas City. And when one small business is failing, it's not a good feeling for us when we know that we could have been actively helping them and trying to get them connected to the resources. So that's why we do what we do. And then we've also been offering a lot of online classes, and we're doing that via our Facebook account, and I'll show you that in a second as well. But live videos, man, I don't know if you guys have ever done a Facebook Live before. It's pretty much the worst thing in the world because I hate talking to a computer. I hate talking to a phone when I know that there are people on the other side, but I can't necessarily see them and hear them and engage with them. Kind of like right now, I am just talking to my computer and my dogs are looking at me like I'm a crazy person, but we're kind of all living that life. But some of the classes we've done are more like research and database centric. So our business reference librarian, Kelly Head, he has a series that he's doing every Friday, and he teaches you how to use a new resource every week. And I've been doing a lot of social media courses. So I've done how to get started on Facebook, how to use video on Facebook. What are the differences between all the different social medias? How do I use Canva? What the heck is Canva? How do I use video on Canva? And next week, I'm going to be talking about Instagram. So these aren't things that we've had planned for months. These are things that get planned days in advance, sometimes hours in advance, because we get community feedback and we're like, okay, well, what else can we do? What else can we give our community that they're asking for? So with those classes, I mentioned that we're grant funded. Part of being able to get that grant is survey feedback. It's really easy when you're in person to have a survey and a pen and say, hi, excuse me, please fill this out, because they feel really guilty and they have to because you're standing in front of them. It's definitely not as easy to get someone to fill out a survey online. And so I've been begging people, bribing people. I'm like, please fill out the survey. I don't care what you have to say, just please fill it out. And so that's something that we've kind of had to transition a little bit as well. Tech tutorials. So we do a lot of, we know that Zoom is huge right now. And a lot of people have never heard of Zoom. They've never used Zoom before. And so we will sit down and we'll teach someone how to use a different technology. Maybe they just got a new computer. Maybe they just got their Facebook page up and going, but they don't know how to upload a picture. And so some of these tech tutorials are things that we always did, but now we're doing it so much more. We also have been doing some less educational and more celebratory stuff on our social media pages, just by highlighting some really awesome small business stories. So a few weeks ago, we met with one of the guys at the Black and Beach Makerspace in Johnson County, and they took all of their 3D printing machines and they took all their sewing machines, and they were sewing masks for healthcare workers. And so typically I would go out to that facility, I would use my phone, I would video them, I'd come home and I would edit a bunch of stuff. But right now we're relying on those small businesses to video themselves, send us that video, and then I edit it on my end, takes a lot longer and people are very uncomfortable videoing themselves, but it's something that we think is really important to also celebrate all the good stuff that's happening right now and celebrate the small businesses that have had to pivot in their organization. And there's, when things go wrong, you know, in life, and the anxiety is at an all-time high, depression is at an all-time high, our kids are driving us nuts and we feel guilty about that, and there's just a lot of really negative feelings going on right now. It's so important for us to highlight the good and to focus on the good and to let people know that this is not going to last forever. It will change how we do things, but highlight the good and focus on the good side of things. So that's another, like, maybe more qualitative thing of what we're doing. And then the database tutorials, they're invaluable. Nerds like me and everybody that works at the library, we love data. We love crunching numbers. We like looking at, you know, analyzing the business community of Raytown versus Smithville, and we like looking at that type of stuff. Now, not everybody does. Small business owners, it's really important for them to know how to access that research, but it's not always easy for them to analyze. And so these are things that we can teach them how to access the information, and then we can sit down with them and look at it and see trends and see what might work for them and what might not. So I've got my giant Harry Potter nerd, okay, but Hermione Granger said it herself, you guys, when in doubt, go to the library. Definitely don't knock on the door. The doors are closed, but the library is always accessible online. So I want to make sure that you guys know mymcpl.org. There's a lot of stuff happening for small businesses, but also for your young ones. We are doing virtual story times at 10 a.m. I want to say Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Those happen on the Mid-Continent Facebook page. We're trying to reach out the best we can to serve our community the best we can, because we want to be purpose-based. And so that's kind of how we've transitioned a little bit with the coronavirus. So I'm going to jump real quick and give you guys some tutorials over some of the stuff that I've talked about. And oh, thank you, Canva. Great job presenting. So the first thing I want to show you guys, and just somebody pipe in if something goes wrong or if I'm talking too long or if I get frozen or anything. So the Mid-Continent Public Library page is mymcpl.org. We've got our lovely notice up here about our closures, but here's that tab I was talking about. So here's the Square One Small Business tab. If you click on this tab, you will be taken to all of the business stuff. So real quick, you've got some more tabs here at the top. Get started. I mean, I'm not going to say that it's a useless tab, but if you've never been on a website before, it kind of is that frequently asked questions, like how do I get started with various businesses? So we do have some videos that I've done in the past on, so you want to start a daycare, you want to start an Etsy shop, you want to have an event planning business. So we try to keep these videos constant. Other resource tips and tricks. So a lot of video stuff here. The resources tab is probably my favorite. I am a little biased though, because I love data. So it gets broken down into two sections. So we've got our online resources, nice and vague, and then our online learning. While I'm on it right now, I just want to mention to everybody, you know, there's a lot of downtime right now. Maybe that's easier said than done, even though you're not necessarily at work working. Life is still chaotic. So I totally get if your downtime is non-existent. But a lot of small business owners, 3 months ago would say, I would love to have an Instagram account, but I don't have time to learn it. Or I just bought QuickBooks Pro, but I have no idea what I'm doing, so I'm just going to go to H&R Block. So there are a lot of things that I hear from people that are like, I just don't have time to do it. I don't have time to learn a new skill. If you have time to learn a new skill and in these few weeks that we're going to be at home, check out lynda.com, check out Universal Class. Lynda.com is a LinkedIn company, and they're going to change the name to, I want to say LinkedIn Learning. That might be right. And you'll enter your library card number and you'll create an account here. And you will be able to access a bunch of online courses. And so what these courses are a little, they're tech-based for the most part. So let's see. They have these learning paths, become a user experience designer. If anyone is one of those, I apologize, but that sounds really boring to me. Be a manager, project manager, IT specialist. There's a bunch of these on here. So if you're working with someone who needs to go through a bunch of courses, absolutely a great idea here. One of my favorite things to pull up though, if I just type in Facebook on lynda.com, you've got 1,000 results for Facebook courses, and they range from shorter videos, 3 minutes, to you've got some courses on here, learning Facebook, which is just under 2 hours. You can see that it's a beginner course and that there's been a bunch of people watch this. You've also got your section over here that is going to let you narrow these search results down a little bit. So you're like, listen, I know that I'm no beginner at Facebook. I'm an intermediate. So I want to just see the stuff that's a step up. And also I want to look at a course. I don't really care about specific videos. And so here we are. 3-hour, almost 4-hour class on Facebook for creatives and how artists and makers can use Facebook for them, how to use groups when it comes to marketing on Facebook. And that's going to be an hour-long course. There are so many classes on lynda.com, and I promise you will get sucked down the rabbit hole quicker than anything, because if you're like me, you like learning new skills, you like the idea of kind of building up that your internal resume on things that you can do and get better at. So this is one option. lynda.com is excellent. Universal Class is more qualitative. It's, come on, remember my library card number, guys. Don't say it out loud, Hannah. But yeah, Universal Class it's pretty much the exact opposite of lynda.com, not in its like abilities to teach or anything, but it's really qualitative. So you'll see that the classes I'm taking are Landscaping 101, Introduction to Gardening, Chakras, World Religions, right? There's a bunch of stuff on here that's really kind of out there and bizarre. But if we do go to our course catalog, for small business owners, especially people who are hiring interns, or maybe they have a part-time employee and they need them to have some sort of formal training, Universal Class actually has a lot of stuff on here. So when I started at the library, I had to take a lot of these courses. There's like an anger management class on here, and customer service 101, and here's our anger management one. Where'd it go? This guy's really frustrated. Business administration, basic research skills, and bartending. Why not? But there's a bunch of classes on here. Now, these classes are going to be considerably longer than the ones on lynda.com. But the neat thing on here is that once you join a class, you actually, once you finish it, you get this CEU. That's official credit. So you get a certificate at the end of these classes. So if there's something on here that you can let your employees take a look at, and they can be certified in any of these topics, there's a bunch of stuff on here that you can look at. It's a bunch of stuff. Crafts and hobbies. There's like, bacon apple pie class on here. There's a bunch of stuff for kids on here as well. So if you have the time to kind of check out Universal Class, please feel free to do so. So that's some of the online learning. Who knew it? Gale courses are great as well, but there are less popular ones. So definitely lynda.com and Universal Class you might want to check out. And then our online resources. So as promised, I told you I would show you Reference USA, just to show you the power of what this database can do. Is a pretty ugly website, honestly. We have different databases, and this is how we get started. So if you're looking to look up a specific business, feel free to click on US businesses. If for whatever reason you want to look at Canadian businesses, there they are. One of my favorite things to look at are consumers and different lifestyles. So if I click on that, it's going to open up a new page here, and it's going to default to a quick search. Now, unless you're looking for someone really specific, you're probably going to want to go to an advanced search. And what that brings up is a bunch of qualifiers, right? So what I like to do is start with geography. I always want to narrow it down, because if I don't at least start with geography, it's going to look at the entire United States. And I don't really necessarily care about the entire United States right now. So I like to do metro area. We can click on either Kansas or Missouri, we'll bring it up. And here we go, Kansas City. And once it's over here, you know that it's selected. And I want to know all of the contacts per household. If you only wanted to know one, you could absolutely click on that. And then we can kind of go down here a little further. We see, okay, metro area contacts, we've got that selected. Now, lifestyles. This is where it gets crazy. If you are a nonprofit and you do a yearly fundraiser and you send out a direct mailer for that, see this charitable donor? If we open that up, we're like, listen, I want everyone that is a charitable donor, as deemed by this database, which collects, information from like 16 different resources. I want to know who they are, and I want their contact information. So this is everybody in the Kansas City metro that's a charitable donor. Well, maybe your nonprofit is like really specific. Maybe it's a gardening nonprofit, because those exist, right? I want to know everyone that has shown financial interest in gardening and is a charitable donor in the Kansas City metro. And then I can update my count. That's still a bunch of people. That's almost 300,000 people. So I need to narrow this down a little bit. Maybe I don't want to look at the entire metro. Maybe I can look at their estimated home value. That's going to let me know, okay, I want people who are like the elite of Kansas City. Let me update that real quick. There we go. This is a more reasonable number of people to look at. I can view those results, and all of a sudden I've got a list of people. Surprise, surprise. Look at all these people in Overland Park and Johnson County with the big houses. We can see that we've got the sales list now. We've got their street address. If we're going to send out a direct mailer, their phone number is going to be listed. If it says not available, they're on a do not call list. So it's already kind of filtered that out for you. I do want to go back here real quick and show you this email count. It shows you how many people have a listed email. If you click on more info, it's going to let you, the emails are free. You have to purchase them, but they are way cheaper than all the other options out there to buy people's emails. And once you buy them once, if they open your email, you don't have to buy it again. So it's your email, you get to keep it forever. So, if you wanted to send out 1,400 emails to those people saying like, hey, we're having this gardening fundraising event, like make sure to come out, whatever, they're more likely to open that because we know that we've hit the right demographic. So that is really quick on demographics now. I do want to show you, or excuse me, Reference USA. If we go back here to consumers' lifestyles, just as an example, because he doesn't know that I do this, Ronald Taylor is my dad, and he lives in, anybody heard of this town before? That's Avaz, and he's from Missouri. And if I wanted to put some other information, I could, but I'm not going to. I want to view those results. Avaz is a tiny town. There's only one Ron Taylor in Avaz, and I can see that he's highlighted. So when it's underlined or it's in that blue, you can click on it. And everybody hold on to your seats here real quick, because this is where it gets kind of interesting. We see that Ronald Taylor, we've got his address, we've got, what metro area he lives in, he's married, he's lived in the house for 25 years. I can attest that that is accurate information. Household income, not so sure about that one. Maybe if my mom was still working, but we've got a bunch of information on here. Still pretty interesting if you're looking at if you're a real estate business and you need to know some of this information. Here's where it gets really interesting, are these lifestyle interests, right? We know that Ronald Taylor from Avaz, Missouri is a charitable donor. He likes fishing, hunting, gardening, general outdoor sports, wild birds. Not positive on that one. He does turkey hunt, so maybe it has something to do with that. But you've got all this information on here, and it's all really pretty accurate. It's all based on credit card information, what email list you've signed up for, pretty much any place that you've put your information out there, any business that has asked for your information, they've probably sold it to this company, and that's why they get all this crazy information. Now, from a business standpoint, this is awesome for you because you can be really specific with your marketing efforts. So that is Reference USA. Demographics now is really similar, but if we come down here to more resources, this is where you're going to see the list of some of the stuff that I had mentioned. So if you're looking at article-based pieces, what was that?
Some of that stuff that they know is scary.
It is, yeah. It's definitely it. I've just let go of some of my concerns. I've got a Roomba, and I'm like, the Roomba is probably like measuring the dimensions of my house and sending that off to somebody, and I just have to be okay with it because it's kind of the world we live in. Of course, it is a little freaky, right? It's like, okay, well, how do they know that I like soccer but I don't like baseball? You know, that type of thing. So it's a little crazy, and I blame it on the fact that we are really loose with our information some of the time, and that information is all compiled by this one company. And the scariest part is the information that the library pays for is only about 20% of the information that they actually have on the public. So everybody can rest easy tonight knowing that Big Brother is indeed watching. Yeah, so on the more resources, we've got a lot of article-based databases. So, you know, great stuff for your kids if they're looking to research companies or trends or different industries. Some of the stuff on here, let me see. So Law Depot, I mentioned that using some of those legal documents on there's a really great one. If you're paying for the business journal, I mean, feel free to continue doing so, support local business, but we also have it for free, a digital version. So if you want to save, I think it's like $50 a year or something, you can absolutely access that here. If you are a nonprofit or if you help write grants for nonprofits, we've got a grant database that pretty much lists every single grant available at the moment. Reference USA we went over, lynda.com we went over. Statista, again, this is a really popular one for college students. So if you're doing different presentations, you want to know about different trends in the industries, a great resource there. Let's see here. I want to make sure I kind of covered a lot of this stuff. Entrepreneurship. Yeah. Anyway, so I mean, there's a bunch of stuff on here that's really, the plan builder, right? So if you're going to start writing a business plan, or if you know somebody who wants to start writing a business plan, this is the option for them. Excuse me. We'll see if it comes on here. Take your time. All right. So, it's pretty easy. We just click get started. If you're a new business, you would, click the first time here. I've definitely been on this page once or twice. And I've started filling out sample business plans just to give people an idea of how it works. So we can start on here with our entrepreneur profile. This is something that I really like because as someone who is just getting started, or maybe they just have an idea for a business, it's good to know more about them and who they are. So why do you want to start a business? What do you know how to do? What do you love to do? And it lets you know like who you are as an entrepreneur and where your strengths lie. And I think that this is something that not a lot of databases can give you. And it's really insightful sometimes. And you have to get a little introspective and figure out who you are and whether you've got what it takes to be an entrepreneur or whether your business idea will work. Then we can get into business ideation. Let me go ahead and pull that up. And if you've ever seen the business model canvas or a lean canvas model, what is the problem? What is the problem that you're solving and how are you going to solve it? And how are you going to kind of figure out how that's working? What is your value proposition? So it is so simple to just type these things in. And what happens is once we complete all of these sections, we can download our business plan as a PDF, as a Microsoft document, and download that to our computer. And it gives us a full list in a business plan orientation. So this is a really awesome resource. Maybe not for you, but for maybe somebody you know. Let's see. What else did I want to talk about? The specialist tab. Where'd it go? Square one. I'm gonna go back over here. So Square One, if we click on the specialist tab, so this is where all the Square One specialists live. And we can see that we can email Kelly, we can email Morgan, we can email any of us down here, learn a little bit more about them. So Kelly is our business librarian. If you're looking for hardcore data, if you want help with the databases, he's a great person to reach out to. Morgan is our business outreach specialist. We are all really great on social media. Reach out to us. We want to hear from you. We want your emails. We want to set up those virtual one-on-ones with you, and hopefully those in-person one-on-ones once we get to go back to work. Let me see about some of these.
Hannah, if we were going to set up a meeting with you, how, are you, tomorrow can I chat with you, or are you, I know before you've been 2 weeks out?
Yeah, we've back before all the virtual stuff was happening, we were usually 2 or 3 weeks out. It's a lot easier now to schedule appointments with us. We can usually find something within a week now. We want to make sure that we're still trying to work like 8 to 5, but we know that small business owners don't live the 8 to 5 lifestyle. So if somebody wanted to meet with me at 8 p.m. on, Monday night, absolutely. Like, we'll schedule it, we'll make sure it's on our calendar, and we can absolutely do it that way. So it is a little easier right now to gain access because we don't have to drive anywhere, right? We can just get on our computer. I don't even have to put on pants. And so it's kind of, everybody benefits from it. But yeah, absolutely. We can get to everyone a lot sooner. Arthur, let's see. Arthur asked me, is the information sold on the plan builder? No. So absolutely, you can access all of these things for free. Everything's completely free. The only thing that you might pay for on Reference USA are those emails, if you want to look for the emails on there. And yes, I am going to pull up my Facebook page because I want everybody to know how to access us on that particular.
Hannah, my question really was, is the information that you put in there sold to other people?
No. It's actually all for you. So once you create your login information, it'll kind of go through that whole like contract thing that nobody reads. I actually read it. But yeah, they're not selling your information. Everything is strictly for your eyes only, unless you choose to, send it out to 1 million people. Yeah. So everything's really protected on our end of things. It's businesses like Dick's Sporting Goods, right? You go through and you have your card that you're a loyalty member or whatever. Well, if you shop at Dick's Sporting Goods and you maybe purchase like 6 Patrick Mahomes jerseys right after the Super Bowl, that is financial. Like, there's a paper trail, right? Like, okay, this person went to a sporting goods store and they bought sporting good equipment and it was football related. That information gets sold back to these big corporations that compile it. And now all of a sudden it says Hanna Taylor has financial interest in football or the National Football League. And it's really wild. I actually got to take a tour of the facility. And it's a bunch of nerds in a big building, all on computers, just clacking away. But it's a little wild. I mean, I'm definitely, it's a little spooky. It gives people like a weird feeling sometimes to know that information is out there. But on the library's end of things, everything's super protected. We can't, I don't know if you probably know this, but your password at the library is always going to be your 8-digit birthday. But we can't even like look that up for people. We have to tell people, we're like, well, it's your 10-digit or your 8-digit birthday. And we're very weird with everybody's information. So it's protected on our end. On anybody else's end, the people or the information we're buying from people, it's definitely all over the place. But and internet safety, it's crazy, and trying to keep everything really secure is really important right now, especially with everything that's going on and everything being so virtual right now. It's pretty important. And even, I've noticed some of the stuff, some of the Zoom meetings, the things that are happening in people's backgrounds, I'm like, man, you probably shouldn't have that on there. Like, somebody could steal that information pretty quickly, but I don't think anybody cares about my IU blanket. So, yeah, so that's kind of an answer to that question. I want to pull up our Facebook page really quick here. Oh, here's the power hour, guys, that we're all on. So the Square One page is just called Square One Small Business Services. And we would love if you wanted to follow us. All of our content that we're putting out lives on here. Even when we are kind of back to normal, we update our Facebook page daily. We want to make sure that everybody knows about what events are happening, what resources are out there, what articles just got shared in Kansas City. We try to be really, really cognizant of the stuff that we post on here. So as soon as this, completely loads all the way, I can show you how to access some of the online videos that we've already done. Maybe I can exit out of some of these things. Let's exit out of that. All right. Yeah. So this is our Facebook page. We can come down here to videos. We're trying to update this a little bit better to make it a little more organized, but we're going to have all of our classes that we've done. So the latest video, this is false information actually, but yes, so some of the later videos that we just did, we have this program that we're calling What's Good KC. That's kind of like our showcasing local businesses doing awesome things. This is my dumb face showing people how to use video on Canva, but we have developed these playlists. So if you're looking specifically for database help, Kelly's got videos on there. If you're looking for social media help, these are where my classes live. If you're looking for feel-good stories about Kansas City, they're going to be under this What's Good KC. And then you've got the plethora of all these videos on here. Every Saturday, we've been doing a series with this woman, Stephanie. She is giving people tips and tricks for grant applications. So if you're a small business owner who's struggling right now, you're trying to fill out all these SBA loan documents, this is a really great class to check out. Gotta love Adrienne Haynes giving people like legal advice for their nonprofit. This is a more qualitative class, like how to lead in the time of crisis and how to still be creative and how to make sure that you're checking back in with yourself. And so it's, if you need a little motivation or some inspiration, Kyle's a great resource for you there. If you guys know Rebecca Goebbels, I mean, look at this goofball. We love her to death. But cash flow, like talking about cash flow in times of coronavirus is very different than cash flow in times of, everything's normal and business as usual. So she has a 44-minute class on the importance of cash flow right now. So I don't need to go through all of these. You guys can absolutely check those out if you're interested. But feel free to, reach out to us on Square One. You can message us. We are on our phones constantly. And you can, let's see, if we come down here to services. So these one-on-ones, it'll kind of let you know a little bit more about that process. Obviously, we're not doing these weekly classes. We're doing like daily classes now. So we're definitely all over the place. So this is the Square One Small Business Services Facebook page. Another thing that I want to show you guys is we have another Facebook page called Food Ed. If you are a food business or if you know a food business, this is where we are posting all of our food related content. So again, with like food math and how to, redo the label on your salsa, how to get your food product in stores. So this is a separate account that we've created just for food businesses. So if that's interesting to you, Joey wants to set up a one-on-one, perfect. So one other thing that I wanted to show you guys is our Mid-Continent page, our main page. Here we go. So right now, a lot of content is coming out of the MCPL main page. Here are our, we're doing like songs and story time. So if you've got a small child that could benefit from a few minutes of being distracted by some fun, entertaining stuff from the library, absolutely feel free to check some of this stuff out. Of course, like some funny information on there as well. So it doesn't have to just be business stuff. Absolutely feel free to jump on and really, really engage your library. You guys have paid your property taxes. Those property taxes, part of them go to the library. we want to make sure that you're still able to access your entire, just all of the resources of the library. We know that it sucks that the doors are locked. We know that it sucks that, people can't get in there. They can't use the internet. They can't print something. They can't take their kid to story time. They can't meet with us one-on-one. We know that it's a real pain, but we do want to make sure that you guys are getting the most out of it that you possibly can. So some 2020 initiatives, I'll just scroll on here so you guys can see it real quick. And I know we're coming up on the end of the hour. I could talk for another hour if anybody would let me. But again, food ed's really important to us. The grant is obviously very important. We need to make sure that we're doing everything we can to maintain that grant. We've done a lot of work with immigrant entrepreneurs. So we're working with the Urban Libraries Council out of Washington, D.C. to let other library systems know what they can do to help immigrant entrepreneurs and best practices for that. And then we've recently launched a workforce development initiative to help people who are laid off or need to gain new skills in order to get back into the workforce. So these are some of the things we're planning on for 2020. But other than that, if you guys have any questions, feel free to unmute those mics, let me hear them, send me an email, message us on Facebook. Really just at any point, let us know what we can do for you and what classes you want to see taught on Facebook, and just use the library. When in doubt, go to the library. Hermione Granger. But thank you guys for joining me. I'm gonna leave it on here for just a few more seconds, and then I'll switch it back to my lovely face, of course. But yeah, so feel free to reach out. I'm available. I might sleep in tomorrow. I don't know, but we're all doing the best we can, and I hope you guys are staying healthy and safe, and you guys maybe learned a little tiny thing that you can take with you into your business to keep the blood flowing.
Great. Are there any questions around the room? I don't see anybody unmuting. Thank you, Ms. Hanna, for your time today and this wonderful presentation. I wrote down so many notes. I have lots of things to do on my side, so I'm sure everybody else does too. Just a quick heads up, next week, Thursday, April the 23rd at 11 a.m. will be another Power Hour. This one will be an update from the Small Business Association and a local loan officer from the Central Bank of the Midwest. So look out for that email from the chamber and get registered.